Hi, I'm Clare Tattersall from Digital Fashion Week, and I am really excited to be here today with Stan Giorgiev, who is Head of Partnerships at Ready Player Me. Hi, Stan.
Hey Claire, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. So, we have had a partnership with you. So, I'm really excited to talk to you today and get a little insight on Ready Player Me and the vision that you have for the future. So, the first question that I want to ask you is what was the original motivation for the founding of Ready Player Me 7 years ago?
Um, it's a very good question, actually. So Ready Player Me was created about 2.5 years ago, but the company behind it, called Wolf 3D, that was created some 7 years ago. So Wolf 3D, before the RPM days, was doing custom avatar platforms. And as it often happens, RPM was created out of the need for convenience. So with custom systems, we would go and create a new avatar system every time for companies like, I don't know, Tencent or HTC and the likes. And at one point we figured, wait, why don't we just put something ubiquitous in the cloud that's going to allow us to implement really quickly? We tried that and it worked. And then, well, what if we make it also easy for users? Because there's a lot of social use cases out there, and it just clicked. Wait, that's basically the premise of the metaverse, right? People being able to use their avatars across the board. So it was very much a story of unintended serendipity, if you will, where we were just a tech company going about building things, and then like the spark was there.
So, who are the main users of the Ready Player Me avatars, and has this changed at all over the years?
Um, So we do have our stats around what our demographic breakdown is like and so on and so forth. But I would say it's mostly people in their late teens and early mid-20s, so young and very engaged digitally. People looking for new things to do in different digital domains. As you know, we're integrated in many different games and apps. So we actually cover a broad spectrum of different people looking to do different things in the metaverse. Some are purely looking to collaborate for work. Others are, in educational applications. Then they go and play games. So obviously, fashion plays a big role with the emergence and the rapid rise of digital fashion. So I would say we have a bit of everything on the platform, and it's a very diverse group that we have there.
Right. Yeah, that's actually really interesting. So, do you think this group or the larger world in general, was there an inflection point when people actually got what you were doing, or has it been really a gradual understanding and a gradual expansion?
Um, So obviously COVID happened, and that was a big milestone for everyone in the space of digital experiences. Um, it affected us as well. People were stuck at their computers, phones. VR was, a big thing during that time. Is it going to be the next computing platform? Um, but it happened kind of organically. We experienced a lot of, and are still experiencing a lot of very rapid growth. So adoption happened kind of seamlessly, between like VR chat and spatial and games and apps. And, you know, it almost happened to us in a sense. So I wouldn't attribute it to one particular, inflection point, but rather many small points over the period of time that we've been around.
Right. I think lockdown changed everything
It did.
but for people in technology and touch points with fashion. But did you ever imagine that you would be really relevant to the fashion industry?
We kind of knew it would be relevant because it makes sense. Like when you think about it, fashion is all about self-expression. Avatar is also all about self-expression in the digital domain. So the intersection is, you know, it's one that makes sense. Like you can see that coming. Um, what we weren't aware when we launched the platform was that digital fashion would be as strong of a factor for us and would be growing as fast as it is. So it's been it's been a great experience for us to be part of it.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is really exciting to see how people are wanting more and more to have their own avatar and create their own image and really customize down to a lot of details, even, you know, the makeup, etc. with this. Um, so your avatars are across a couple of hundred platforms at least. Is there any particular industry that you think is going to want more fashionably dressed or more diversely dressed avatars?
Oh, great question. We're actually in a few thousand different applications. But I would say when it comes to diversity and self-expression, it's probably the intersection of social and gaming. My background is actually in gaming, so I've seen some of that firsthand. But this is where the magic kind of happens because you have interactivity, you have self-expression, you have the strong social element, and you can apply different gamifications, and that makes for a magic combo, if you will. So if I see a space, that's probably it. That's that intersection.
Interesting. So do you think the inclination, the buying public is more on like quantity of available assets, or do you think there is a growing demand for more sort of like haute couture or specialized, individualized items?
I would say definitely the latter. So what we see in the digital space is kind of at least partially a projection of what we experience in the physical space, right? And we see that in our data as well. For example, around 67% of people start making their avatars from a selfie, which means the foundation for them starts from the physical, but then they continue and spend twice as much time customizing that avatar compared to people who start with a random one. So there's definitely this element of overlap in tastes and things we like. So what I'm trying to get at is in the physical world, we all love something that's a little more exclusive, a little more special, a little more personal. So that is kind of reflected in the digital experience as well. People even like to have their input. And with the emergence of AI and generative, we are seeing even more inclination towards that now.
Right, right. So do you think there's any particular type of asset, any particular type of clothing that you notice at the moment? And I guess this could always change and evolve in the future. But is there any particular style that's the most in demand at the moment?
I wouldn't say we've noticed one particular that's in demand, but I guess our audience is one that is kind of asking a little more for things that are a little more sci-fi, a little more metaverse-y. This is feedback we've received from brands, from traditional brands that we have worked with, where even their communities have been telling them like, we liked what you did, but there should have been a little more of the metaverse buzz in it, you know, a little more like maybe cyberpunky, metaversey, all of that, things that we don't really see on the streets normally.
That's amazing. I think these kind of insights are really, really valuable to us, knowing what people are looking for and what they want. So we have had this amazing partnership. I'm so grateful for you. You've been working with 6 of our designers to create this special collection.
What an amazing group.
They've been great, and many people from further afield are really eager to work with Ready Player Me, of course. So what is your vision for independent designers in the future?
Right. This is something that gets brought up with us quite often, and we can probably communicate it a little better. But our, let's call it North Star, is for individual designers to be able to make a living out of Ready Player Me. A little bit further down the line. Obviously, we've been around for a relatively, small amount of time. Like we launched late 2020, so that's what, like a couple of years. So we are still building a lot of tools, and the difficulty we're having today is, as annoying as it sounds, something as trivial as processing assets, for example. I mean, you were with us when we onboarded, the designers, and it's a lot of back and forth, and all of that can be abstracted away with technology that we're currently building, and we're hard at work. But it just takes a little bit of time. So we're limited in our capacity to work with individual designers. It's an annoying issue that obviously is going to be resolved, but it's just there. So if I can, just send a message out to all of the individual designers out there who are listening to this, give us a little bit of time. We actually really want to work with you.
This is amazing, and it's great news. I mean, it was a huge privilege for us, and as you said, there were challenges. There were challenges for our designers to learn the tools, and I think knowing that really you are a very young company, and while we see this really, really polished product at the end, so we assume that everything is in place, but we have to understand that, as designers, we need to be patient and wait for things to get to the place where we can more easily be onboarded, and it's going to be a much better result for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the difficulties is that basically the purely asset creation pipeline in fashion is different from the one in games, and we use the one in games because, again, our avatars need to go to different games and virtual worlds and metaverses, right? That's where all the cool stuff is happening today. So in order to create assets for Ready Player Me, you need to be able to create assets for games, but that is a completely different process from creating assets for fashion. Tools are different, like almost everything is different. So we are building those tools that would allow designers to easily move their assets from, say, their Cloud 3D or Browseware to RPM and see their outfit in, be that Spatial or Somnium Space or any of the other partners. But it's a heavy lift. So yeah, just a little bit of time.
Right. So could you recommend sort of a cocktail of software that designers should be interested in learning? Because something that we tell designers that we work with all the time, like, you might know one thing, but this is not the end of the line. You've constantly got to keep learning and adopting and adapting to new technologies.
Yeah, I guess Blender is a major one that we use heavily in our pipeline as well. Anything around that would be useful, but I would say Blender is the main one that people need to get familiar with.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting. And Blender is open source as well.
It
So
is open source. It is free, completely free for anyone to use. So unlike alternatives like Maya or 3D Studio Max, Blender is completely free and open source. So anyone can pick it up and learn it and get to create amazing things with it.
right. That's huge. There's a big learning
Yeah.
curve, but it's worth it in the
Yep.
end. Yeah.
They should make me a spokesperson after this. Blender Foundation.
Yes. So what's on the horizon for Ready Player Me? Are there any new features or rollouts that we can look forward to?
Right. So several things we're quite excited about. In the near term, the major one, I guess, is we're going to launch body types. So yeah, so we wanted to go to market fast. So we launched with a single body type. Everyone knows what the Ready Player Me avatar kind of looks like. It's this slim figure, and then you just customize the face. What we're going to launch now is the ability for people to express themselves through body types as well, so they can choose to look skinny, chubby, athletic, and whatever in between. So all of that is coming, which is a whole new dimension of self-expression that we've been promising people for a while.
That is huge, and it's really exciting as well. So, I love that you're addressing this is really an ethical issue, especially in the fashion industry, and you
Yeah.
are really at the forefront of doing this.
Yep, it's a super important feature for us that we're gonna launch, and the other one coming right with it, hand in hand, is basically the modular customization. So we showed an AI lab recently where we left an Easter egg of that, but basically we're gonna separate footwear from bottoms and tops for avatar customization, which again, in the context of fashion, is super important. So far, it's been a single outfit unit, which is obviously not great in terms of the ability for the user to customize, for the designer to create and be creative. So that is a major milestone for us as well, where we're gonna separate the different elements of the outfit.
Wow, wow. So you're going to really be appealing to accessories designers as well as fashion designers long term.
Accessories are coming a little further down the line. So things like earrings or bracelets, that kind of stuff, we don't yet have because they require a specific technology solution, how to attach things that are external to the body, essentially. But those are things we're looking into as well. Obviously, that's a big part of self-expression and fashion. So we're definitely looking into them.
Wow, Stan, there's so much to look forward to. So I have one more question for you. What advice would you give to a fashion designer who for becoming successful in the future?
Work with Claire. Work with Claire.
Working really
That's
for me.
yeah. Again, I am hardly a fashion person, so it is almost like a little bit uncomfortable for me to talk about this. But yeah, again, I'll just give you a shout out about it. Like Digital Fashion Week was amazing. So my advice would be, work with Claire.
Oh, Stan, you're so nice. Thank you. So I want to say again, it was an amazing privilege for myself and for the group of 6 designers that we work with you as well. We're super excited about these outfits. We hope loads of people are going to wear them and buy them. But it's been fabulous talking to you as well. I think it's so important to have these insights into what you're doing. You're an industry leader and everybody really wants to know. So thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And
Thank you,
I hope
Claire.
we have more of these conversations.
Yes, absolutely. Would love that. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, thanks everyone.